Good day, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Today is just another great day here at the University of South Dakota and certainly in the athletic department. In a few moments, we're going to hear remarks from President Sheila Gestring, our athletic director John Schimmel, and Coach Travis Johansen. Following the prepared remarks from each individual, we will open it up to the media for questions for Coach Johansen. And then following that question and answer period, we'll ask any media that wants to do one-on-ones with Coach Johansen or John Schimmel. We'll relocate across to the Core Trust Club behind us. So without further ado, I'll introduce President Sheila Gestring to kick us off.
Well, welcome and thank you everyone for joining us today. All of us know that the Coyote football program has experienced a tremendous season and a year of crushing records and surpassing milestones, from earning our first share of the Missouri Valley Football Conference title to making the FCS semifinals. You know, our football team has just continued to make all of us in Coyote Nation very, very proud. So I think about this because USD is a relatively young Division I program. Relative to our peers, we are still very young, but we have rapidly progressed, and we are outpacing those programs that are far more mature than ours. The future is both bright and extremely exciting. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to Coach Bob Nielsen for building such an incredible program. I know 9 years ago he envisioned coming to the University of South Dakota and producing a program, creating a program that could be a national contender on a consistent basis, and he has done that. Coyote Nation will forever be grateful to Coach Nielsen for what he's done for our Coyote football program. Our team's success is all the more rewarding when you look around in this room and out in our community. Everyone is behind Coyote Nation. USD is a very unique place in that way. Our faculty and staff care deeply about each and every one of our students, and they are invested in their success. Our athletic department takes that even to a higher level. If you spend any time with our athletic staff or the student athletes, you're going to notice a distinct culture of support. USD coaches care about their players, and they want to develop them into engaged leaders in all of our communities. The administration advocates for student well-being. They make decisions with students in mind, students first in every decision. They value the dedication, the hard work, and the grit that's reflected at this level of competition. And at the same time, our athletic department does not see our student athletes for only their sport. Our coaches and administration truly are invested in helping our student athletes become the very best versions of themselves. That culture of support is something we are very proud of. And Travis is already a part of that culture, and I am thrilled to welcome him into this new role. And with that, I will turn it over to Athletic Director John Schimmel to formally introduce to us our new Coyote head football coach.
Thank you, President Gestring. Sheila and I always kind of laugh heading into these press conferences because she's very much a speech writer, and we always kind of joke because she always has her notes, and I just tell her to send me what she's going to say, and I'll write my 4 or 5 bullet points down to make sure we're not both saying the same thing. But thank you, President Gestring, not only for today but the last few weeks. I also want to thank the Board of Regents. Certainly, as things transpired throughout the course of this season, in particular the last couple weeks, you know, I certainly wasn't thinking we'd be standing here. I knew there'd be a day we'd be doing this. Wasn't expecting it to be at the conclusion of this season, but want to thank the Board of Regents for all their help as well as we kind of started transitioning through this process the last couple weeks in particular. Always want to thank my wife and son. I certainly wasn't around for Christmas much this year, but they continue to endure me, and not sure why, but appreciate and love them very much. And obviously I want to thank Coach Nielsen for an incredible 9 years. here. I think 42 years of coaching. Obviously, you can imagine the emotion he has been going through personally, in particular, since getting back from Bozeman and going through the holidays and really kind of having some finality to his decision through the new year and doing something for 42 years with as much passion and care as he did. We wanted to make sure we did this right for him. Just as he has done this right for us in the University of South Dakota and our student athletes. I'm incredibly excited for him and Terry. It's certainly going to be a little bit different without a shirt and tie on the sideline. But I'll tell you, Corey Jenkins and I started after every game this year. Corey and I think starting around Dakota Days, we just noticed after every game, we saw a smile on Bob, on Coach Nielsen, and it was a different smile, and that smile that you just didn't see was after the game was over, win, lose, or draw, when he sees his grandkids, there was a completely different expression on his face, and I'm so excited for him and Terry certainly to get to experience that and live the lives that they've earned in retirement. So thank you, Coach Nielsen and Terry, for everything you've given to this university, most importantly to our student athletes, but really just to college football for 4 decades now, which is incredible. So thank you to them. Really as all of this started, naturally the question becomes, when did this process start? Honestly, this process started for me with my first meeting with Coach Nielsen about a year ago. I sat down with Bob and just asked him, hey, what do you want? It was time for a new contract for him anyways. Our state rules allow for 5-year contracts max, so the second he didn't ask for a 5-year contract, I knew that immediately had to be a 2-part conversation. And so the second question I asked him was, we started talking about succession planning. I immediately asked him, do you feel that we have that answer on your staff? Without hesitation, he did, and we immediately started talking about Travis Johansen. I've spent the last several months really trying to get to know Travis, certainly the whole staff in general. But just to get a better idea as to the kind of person he is, we did golf quite a bit this summer. It wasn't to ask him about football. It wasn't to ask him about his strategy or anything like that. It was just to get to know him, make sure I understood what kind of person he is, what kind of values he has, if he can handle himself on the golf course. He's not very good, but he handles himself all right. If he was too good, that might have been a red flag anyways. If he's out there as a scratch golfer, that might be a problem at this point in his career. But nonetheless, just started growing a natural relationship there. And obviously going into this football season, I knew about the growth of our defense and certainly over time, but in recent history, but I still hadn't seen a game in 7 years here, and never saw one with Travis or even anyone on this new staff on the sideline. And it became very clear the kinds of things that our defense stood for, our program stands for, that Travis stands for, aligned very much with where I see this program going, where we want this program to go. And make no mistake about it, the expectations remain the same, right? We are a university and a program committed to winning championships in the Valley and to winning and competing for championships nationally at the FCS level. Trav is very much a family man. His wife Natalie and kids Layla, Lane, and Tate. Very excited for them to be part of this community for the next several years. But it is an absolute honor to introduce the 31st head coach here at the University of South Dakota, Travis Johansen. Take a picture first. So,
Well, number one, appreciate everybody being here. Exciting time for me personally, and an exciting time for my family. This is an incredible honor for me to be able to lead this football team into where we know we're headed. Like everybody else, I've got to give a lot of thanks to Coach Nielsen, the opportunity he provided me, my first Division I opportunity in 2019. He was initially why I was attracted to the University of South Dakota. I didn't know much about Vermilion. I hadn't spent a lot of vacation time here, as we all could imagine. But Coach, he always did things the right way. I was at Division II in the cities in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and he was at Minnesota Duluth. And as a young coach, I got my tail kicked in by him. Probably the first couple times I went against that football team, and I always respected the way they played the game, his poise on the sideline, and the person he was. And then when I got here, he had an incredibly high level of trust for me. There was never a time he ever stepped in, questioned, cut off what we were trying to do defensively, and as a result, we've grown a ton, and I think the results speak for themselves. He's not done working yet, because I'm going to be blowing up his phone here for probably the next couple months while I'm figuring this thing out a touch. So he can't go to Hawaii quite yet or do whatever those plans are. I got to thank my wife, Natalie. The rigors of coaching this game are not easy, particularly on a family. We go through it. Pretty good. Normal families are hitting vacations and doing that stuff, and she's raising our kids, and that's I'm incredibly thankful. Her in this community has been great. I'm Mrs. Johansen's husband everywhere outside of the Dakota Dome. So my kids, Layla, Lane, and Tate, they've been coyotes since the day they were born. With Layla got here at 2, and the rest of them have been here their entire lives. I had to break the news to Tate the other day that Tevin McKelvey and Devin Shorter and Travis Tice and Big Mo all are not returning. Unfortunately, their eligibility's expired, and we got to find new Yotes to cheer for. My family, their delusional view of their son may not be as delusional as I might have thought. My dad just drove up here out of nowhere, tried to get me, but that will not work. And really our staff. And I'm only standing here because of their efforts. We've challenged each other over the years and grown, and obviously I'm a guy who's going to lose it a little bit, but we all respect the game of football the right way. There's one way to do this, in my opinion, and it's with great people, and I've been doing it with great people, people that believe in what this game's about. There's a lot of things out there right now that have turned this game in different directions from a media perspective, and in a lot of ways in which the game has lost a little bit of its original form, and the people we have in our building believe on hanging on to that on a real level. And I couldn't be more thankful to them, their wives and families. We're sitting here on a Sunday night and a Monday night until 1 and 2 a.m. I'm thinking about what are their families doing, and they're allowing our staff, our community, this university to have their husbands and fathers for significant portions of their life, and that means the world to me. And the only reason that I'm standing here is because of them and our players. Our players here every time they walk into this building as a recruit. The University of South Dakota is not for everybody. It will not be for everybody. This is a place where we're looking to achieve at the very highest level, where you come to South Dakota to sacrifice 48 to 60 months of your life to give up what you might have expected as a college athlete. A lot of the things that get condoned in college, we don't do that in our program. We try and set a streamline into being as great as you can possibly be without that stuff, and we challenge them every day to do that. And they've come here under those guidelines and not always had the most positive outcomes in my time here. Right, 2019 is when I first got to Vermilion, and these guys have gone through some difficult times in managing their expectations while they still achieve and push to achieve greatness. And our players are why we're all here. Our players are why we've been successful. Our players' resilience. In 2022, right, our 21 season, we were in here hosting the first playoff game in 35 years. In the Dakota Dome, and the next year we went 3-8. and the portal's wide open, and every opportunity to leave this program and give up on it, coaches, players alike, was there. And that did not happen. That group and our staff looked each other in the eye and said, that's not the way we're going down, and that's not the way it happened. And obviously the rest of it's spoken for ourselves, but it's all player-driven. Those guys that have committed to doing that have seen the fruits of their labor and will continue to as long as I'm here. I have two non-negotiables when I think about taking a position, whether that's already within our program or that's potentially wherever that might be. Number one, I got to be able to be a great husband and a dad. All right, I need to be there with my family. I need to see them grow for me to be my best. And number two, I got to be in a position where I think I can win a national championship. And for me personally, I need those two things to be at my maximum capacity to give what I need to give to the university and the program that expects it. And going through this process, you get a little bit more of an intimate relationship with the people that lead you. And President Gestring and John Schemmel, it's uncommon leadership. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's uncommon leadership. It's uncommon, don't let the suits fool you. It's uncommon competitiveness. It is an uncommon love for a university and not just the positions that they hold. It's an uncommon humility in their leadership. I saw that firsthand. John will do anything. Trust me, we just went through anything. We know what we're talking about to see us succeed. And it was a no-brainer. Are we in a position to win a national championship with that sort of leadership? Absolutely we are. I'm incredibly excited and thankful to work for them and with them as we continue to see this forward. When I got here, there wasn't a lot of confidence in Coyote football. There just wasn't. You'd hear and see and read, and nobody walked in that dome believing that the Coyotes were going to be anybody that came onto that field. We've been on a mission since then to reach the maximum potential of this program, and more than anything, what I wanted was, personally, was when you saw that paw next to something else, there was some respect there. You knew exactly what you were going to get when that paw was on your schedule, when it was in your building, and you understood what the tangibles and intangibles meant when you played the University of South Dakota. I think without question that right now where we stand today, everybody knows exactly what time it is when you see the Coyote paw on your schedule. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be physical players, inspired players, a tough, competitive, sound unit that walks into your building or when you show up into theirs, and it isn't a good week for you. And that needs to continue to be the expectation of what we do. This organization understands what the expectations are in front of us, right? Because we put them there. Nobody has higher aspirations or expectations for what our program needs to achieve and be than we do in our building. Who we are as a community in Vermilion, who we are as a state of South Dakota, we're going to represent that. A blue-collar, tough, organized outfit that takes a lot of pride in winning football games. But it's going to take an entire community of people. It's going to take our entire community. It's going to take our entire state to get behind what we're doing to get this thing done. And we're not trying to just make the jump to be in the playoffs and be in another round of the playoffs. I'm going to do everything in my power every single day. Our staff's going to do everything in our power every single day to bring a national championship to Vermilion, and that's attainable. But our organization and our football program is not just in these walls. It's every single fan, it's every single supporter, it's every single person writing in the media. If you believe in what we're doing and you want to do it, get on board. Get your season ticket. Show up with enthusiasm to event. Post on social media. Every little thing counts, and we're counting on everybody. Our aspirations are very high, but our expectations are in alignment with that. I couldn't be more excited to get this going. This is a special place, and we're going to do some very special things together. I'm really excited to do this with everybody. Appreciate it. Go Yotes.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions for the media for Coach Johansen here. And again, a reminder, we'll do some one-on-ones after, so just some questions here to kick us off for Coach Johansen. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks, Steve.
Coach, welcome. Not everybody wants to be the head coach. Not everybody wants the opportunity. I'm sure you had some other chances, perhaps, to move up to a FBS level. Why did you want this opportunity? Why did you continue to stay when I'm sure you had other chances to maybe move up to other jobs?
Yeah, for me, it's level is not the answer. I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. I committed to this place, a long time ago that we could achieve what we could achieve, and if I felt we were maxed out and my impact wasn't gonna help do that, it wouldn't be the position for me. I do not believe that. I think we all recognize what this can be and the direction this can go and how far it can go. Referencing President Gestring's comments, when you really look at timeline and where we're at and just the limited resources that we put into it and where more are going, this is a no-brainer. Right, I'm inspired to win a national championship. I'm inspired to be in bowl games. Playing in the FCS playoffs is a heck of a journey. We all know that, and there's a lot of pride in this state into doing that. Right, and so I think my motivation is very, very high when it comes to winning at South Dakota. And this is a place I love. My family, my kids are growing up here. This is an unbelievable community who's wrapped their arms around us, and we're going to try and pay it back the best we can.
I don't know if I had somebody say they hope the shirt and tie remains the same. I don't know if that's going to be the case.
That's a hard no. No, I love Coach. But this might be the only time you see one on me.
Fair enough. But what's the next level for this program?
I think we all know what that is, right? It used to be, Frisco, but it's Nashville now, right? We're going to do everything we can, right? We take it one step at a time. There's a lot that has to happen. There's a lot that's got to go your way. But everything we're going to do, we understand how to do that as a staff. We understand how to do that as a program and an organization. All roads lead to there, and I think everybody in our community expects that, and we wouldn't want it any other way.
Travis, you obviously thanked Bob for what he did here. He told us earlier that it's kind of good to go out on top, but he says it's also very exciting knowing he's leaving it with an assistant coach that he's been with for years and the program's at its best. How do you kind of, build off of what he did here, considering we know a national championship, but just what Bob created here over his 9 years?
Yeah, I think obviously that means a lot, right? That through this process, I was the guy that he felt like could be entrusted to do that. I think the unique thing is when you sit in a different chair in a different perspective, I think you find the ways, especially when you're kind of in the intimate scene of coaching defense and playing alongside offense, and the organization behind everything. You always have ideas and ways you think you can streamline some process to get us to that. So your experience is a little bit different than being the head coach. I've done every single job in a building throughout my career. So, we're definitely different people. There's no question about it. But, Coach's foundational principles and how he goes about it and what I would do to and will do to improve upon that is really just a matter of our experience together. And it's really specific to here, right? And a lot of that is more an internal conversation. But I think just the perspective in which I've had sitting alongside of him, looking for ways to improve and now in a position to implement it.
Coach, when you first came here in 2019, did you ever envision a day like this was in your future?
100%. Oddly enough, Natalie and I were investigating other jobs as we were kind of had this one come in our face. One was on the beach and one was in Vermilion. And oddly enough, I was at the National Coaches Convention, which we just left in Nashville at the time, or excuse me, San Antonio at the time. And one of the coaches down there said, he kind of interjected himself into our conversation, said, "You can never play great defense in South Dakota." And I immediately in that moment didn't consider that other job. I called Coach Nielsen. We had a great conversation, and here we are. And the reason I always felt like we could do that was because the vision he had painted at the time of what was happening. I had to have a little leap of faith because, hey, we're building this all on the west side. And at that point in time, there was nothing here. And, when everybody says they're making improvements, usually it's a 5-year plan. And in February, they were breaking ground. And in spring ball, we were breathing the dust. Once that started happening, this place is a rocket ship. It really, really is, and has been since then. It's in its infancy still. There's a lot of room for growth, but there's always been a progressive mindset in South Dakota. 40 years ago, 45 years ago, they built a dome as a Division II school out in the middle of nowhere. Think how crazy that was at the time. That vision and that spirit is still in this place, so there's no lack of aspiration or belief in what we're trying to do.
Travis, as you take over the program and you look at, obviously, wins are important and you have that goal of a national championship, but when people look at a Travis Johansen coached program, what are the pillars? What will people see out of a program led by you?
You're going to see a lot of things that respect the game of football to its core, right? Football is about people, A1. It's not about all the frills. It's not about all the cute stuff. It's about football. It's about being great at your craft. We will be the most physical team in the country. That's unequivocal in this game. Make no apologies about it. It's a violent game, and our players have that spirit when they compete. You'll see a team that competes at a high level. They already do. A very resilient football team. We've shown that all year, and can continue to get more out of it. A disciplined football team, right, that doesn't make critical errors and plays for each other. All of the things that inspire people to come watch the games, right? That's what winning football is. Everything you love to see on that field and be proud of as a Coyote. All right, that's what we're putting on that field. So if you break it down into three simple things, John, I don't know if I can do that. Right? It's a daily endeavor to instill the things that we believe in, and all of that is pointed to winning football games and creating great men.
I know you're used to spending a lot of time in a dimly lit room game planning for the next game, but now the role changes a little bit. How do you embrace that? How do you try to navigate a new role and different responsibilities that you now have as the head football coach?
That's a great question, John. I better figure it out, right? Well, oddly enough, John and I see each other every Thursday at 11:20, and he stands there and waits for about another 15 minutes while we finish our red zone cut up. So I can tell you exactly where I would be as the defensive coordinator, and I know exactly where you would be. But yeah, our process and how our process is going to be for me, I can't wait to be a little bit more invested programmatically, and pouring into coaches and helping point out unintended consequences, helping John and Sheila continue to build and being a part of that. There's a lot of different roles, obviously. I think in year one, you're going to go through really figuring out how it applies here. But I'm a process-oriented person, and building out that process that will continue to streamline us to success. That's what this year is going to be about. I'm really lucky. We got an unbelievable staff that I can just, we all know what time it is, what we're doing, how to do it, and I don't have to be in their tails all the time. Hey, what are we going to do this? I'm not that type of guy. So how we refine our process will be really important, and that'll be a little bit as you go.
All right, with that, get one last round of applause for Coach Travis Johansen.